Week, Trump asked the Supreme Court to step in after a lower court called the ballroom project unlawful and ordered that construction stop this Friday.
Well, we hope that doesn't happen. I can't imagine it happening.
During the tour, Trump was asked when he plans to resume talks with Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and bring down gas prices.
Maybe at some point, but right now, I think the situation is so good.
And Nancy, of course, the world remains a serious place. And during that very tour, the president made news on that front about North Korea. What can you tell us?
Yes, Tony, he said North Korea has 57 nuclear weapons. It was the first time that a public official has given an exact.
Yeah, that's the first. He exposed exactly how many nuclear bombs North Korea has, which is crazy.
Number like that. He said North Korea should never have been allowed to get that many, but he didn't seem particularly concerned.
I don't think people estimated that they had that many.
That Kim has behaved himself while Trump has been in office. He even said he's likely to meet with the North Korean dictator sometime this year, Tony.
57.
Nancy, thank you. We turn now to news today in the case of Lindsay Clancy, that Massachusetts.
57 is actually a pretty good amount, honestly. I think 57 close, need 10 more.
Mom on trial for killing her 3 children in 2023. She's pleaded not guilty, citing her own struggle with postpartum psychosis. And today, a psychologist who treated news for cancer treatment, in particular for the many Americans battling serious melanoma each year. For some high-risk patients, an experimental vaccine
is this the news that they show on CBS?
Returning or spreading. CBS Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. John LaPook joins me now. Is there with late developments.
By air, land, and water, local police and federal law enforcement teams.
This is like the same story over and over, pretty much.
Solomon, after her husband, Kurt Solomon, a veteran police officer, was found dead inside their home.
I'm sorry, but this is like some Dateline like stuff. They're like, oh, find out later on how she killed your husband. Like,
flip-flops.
This shit happens more often than we know, but like, also, why is this on the national news?
58-year-old Kurt Solomon dead. Investigators have not said how he died. The 30 is an active crime scene, as is the search for Karen Solomon. Authorities warning the public not to approach her if they see her. They believe she's still armed and dangerous. Tony.
Lilia, thank you. Still ahead, how one Army unit is using a video game as an incentive to serve.
Yeah, oh no, how tragic.
A NetJets flight into Akron, Ohio ran into trouble on Tuesday when the front landing gear failed to deploy, forcing the pilots to pull off a
That's a pretty smooth landing, actually.
On the back wheels,
I expected this plane to burst into flames when I heard that it landed like this.
They do train for this. It's a great example of it working. Some U.S. soldiers just got a unique offer from Uncle Sam. If they re-enlist for at least 2 years, they'll get 4 days off in November.
You get 4 days of playing Grand Theft Auto 6 in a row. I get 2 more years of your life.
Time to the release of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Sounds like an even exchange to me.
On a lot of their calendars already. Of the 130 specialized engineers who were offered this deal at Fort Stewart in Georgia, 20 have already taken it. 2 more years in the Army in exchange for 4 days in Vice City.
Yeah, are they going to mention the power outage in Indiana? I guess not, Daphne. I guess not, because I didn't see that on the list. Like this is what I'm talking about, Daphne. Like they fucking like they're talking about a helicopter crash on the other side of the world that some rich person died on because it was like some billionaire or something that died on it. Like, we have to know about that, okay? Like, you know, like I've said this before, the mainstream news in the United States is just news for the ultra wealthy. Everybody else, you're fucking irrelevant. Now, the news don't care about black people. I mean, that's basically what's going on here. I couldn't care less about a helicopter crash if I tried. What outage? There's no outage in Indiana.
And a beautiful new street sign went up along.
Ooh, have you seen this street sign?
Downtown Denver this week.
The California. Like California Street? Have you seen this street sign? This is news.
But that's not how you spell California. The era appears in giant reflective type both sides of the sign. It cost more than $300 to make that sign, but the city says the replacement will be FREE free. Up next, the good stuff and a college.
They should have kept it. I'm going to Denver, man. I'll be in Denver soon enough. What is this story?
College football comeback for a 47-year-old pastor.
Who is it? Is it Brett Favre?
We're back with the good stuff. Football season is
almost
almost
just
here.
some guy.
For most of us, that means snacking and relaxing. But Justin Buzzard is not like most of us. The 47-year-old father of three has been furiously preparing, exercising like a madman.
This dude
because he isn't just watching football this year.
Is taking the job of a kid that's worked their entire life to like finally make it to be like a college football player. And this fucking grandpa over here is taking his spot.
He's playing it. 30 years after the end of his high school career, he's in full pads and taking an absolute beating.
It's local news, Pam. It is.
Defensive end at San Jose City College. He's got bruises on both arms.
Oh, wow.
Bloody fingers.
This guy played
football.
football.
Like a dog bite on his leg. I don't quite know how that happened. And yet, he tells us
that's from the guy that they call dog on the team. They call him the defensive player. They call him dog, so that's who bit him.
Football for me, it's about the fun and joy of the game. It's about the rigor and the challenge and pushing my body, and I'm definitely being pushed to the limits.
It was one of his kids who brought him back to the game, responding to a post about a different older guy playing college football. His son said, "What about you, Dad?" Buzzard's coaches have cheered him on as an example for his younger teammates because it's easier to make the younger guys understand the concept of no regrets when there's a...
I wonder why he wants to be around kids. This is...
middle-aged guy right there on the field next to them. And it works for Buzzard, too, because in the decade since he walked away from football the first time, he says he's learned at least one big lesson from life.
Should a grown-ass adult be around, like, 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and be playing contact sport with them? Like, what the fuck is happening here?
I think that maybe men, especially as they get older, have a tendency to hold back and not risk and to play safe with their life. And I really believe that if you're not risking, if you're not stepping into new territory and doing new things, that you're rusting.
For Buzzard, that's what it all comes down to. The phrase that has become
it's trans
his
people that are
middle-aged
probably
motto: risk or rust.
This is fucking...
That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel. We'll see you back here tomorrow night. Good night.
What the fuck was that? Oh my God. I don't know, man. I'm kind of like in disbelief here. That's crazy. All right, well, it seems like the PC's holding up. My CPU's only at 13 to 20% usage. GPU's at 80%. What the fuck? Crazy. But yeah, everything else is looking pretty chill. All right, let's keep rolling.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. In southern Texas, the Trump administration said Monday it's temporarily pausing construction on a section of the border infrastructure that's in Big Bend National Park after construction crews were filmed bulldozing pristine desert wilderness, prompting ongoing protests and lawsuits. The Department of Homeland Security waived requirements that federal contractors comply with a broad slate of environmental laws to proceed with construction in the national park. The area covers a quarter of the U.S.-Mexico border, but sees only about 1% of border crossings due to the rugged terrain. The project in the Bend region is expected to cost $7 billion.
What the fuck?
Opposition to the controversial project has been widespread and bipartisan, including from environmentalists, local landowners, local sheriffs, and county judges. Outgoing Republican Texas Senator John Cornyn wrote to the Homeland Security Secretary, Markwayne Mullin, earlier this month, urging him to halt construction until DHS engage further with local concerns. The contractor on the project is a major Trump donor. On Monday, Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Rodney Scott flew to Texas to announce the pause.
I just landed in Texas, headed to Big Bend Natl
Environmental
Park.
conservatives wondering how this will get liberal tears.
Activity in that park as far as construction goes, until I can get down there and do a personal evaluation, talk to some stakeholders, talk to local law enforcement in that area, and more to follow this week.
Yeah, we saw this yesterday.
On Tuesday, Rodney Scott told local officials the pause would last just 2 weeks. In a statement, campaigner Lakin Jordal of the Center for Biological Diversity said, quote, "We won't rest until the contracts are canceled, the waivers of law are rescinded, and the bulldozers are sent packing for good," unquote. We go now to Texas, where we are joined by Lakin Jordal, a national public lands advocate with the Center for Biological Diversity. Lakin used to work at Big Bend National Park on wilderness stewardship issues. I mean, Big Bend, I think it's something like the size of Rhode Island. We're talking about a massive area. Now, Lakin, you're not usually siding, maybe I'm wrong, with the local sheriffs, with the Republican senators, but this is across the political spectrum. I mean, you had local sheriffs and the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, both claiming they were responsible for this pause, wanting to take credit. Talk about what's happened here.
Right.
Good morning from beautiful Big Bend, Amy.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything that conservatives in Texas do actually like doing is enjoying the parks, which is a very, who funds the parks and who builds the parks? The city and the states, right? But I mean, that's definitely where you will find them at the park, especially Big Bend National Park. They want to be outside. They're all about putting on that image of being outside and outdoorsman and all that shit. But I mean, at the same time, everybody we some people enjoy it for the nature. Some people enjoy it just to be outside. It's a bipartisan issue. Yes.
This movement that we have built is a force to be reckoned with. I think the administration made such a massive miscalculation when they sicked their bulldozers on this great American national park. We have seen local sheriffs who are extremely conservative, border security experts come out and oppose this thing. We've got Republican state house reps on our side. This pause is welcome news. It shows just how nervous the administration is about this resistance. But we have no reason to trust DHS. None. They didn't even admit that there was construction happening here until this week. They were trying to hide that from the public. And we've been out filming the bulldozers every day, working with this incredible local community. And I don't think they understand just how deep people's connection to this land, to this national park, and to the Rio Grande is here in Texas.
So let's talk about who got the contracts. Newsweek says Tim Barnard and his wife donated $1 million to a Trump fundraising committee in 2024. Barnard Construction Company has been awarded billions of dollars in federal border barrier contracts, including nearly $2 billion linked directly to the Big Bend region. If you can talk about this. And also, we're not talking about building the wall in Big Bend, right? It's the infrastructure to service all of this. For example, surveillance, etc. But start with the donors.
Yeah, they didn't miscalculate. They saw the money in the contracts. Yeah.
Yeah, these contractors are darlings of this administration, and they've been given billions of dollars to build walls all across the U.S.-Mexico border. At this point, I mean, this administration is using this national park and its destruction as an opportunity to transfer billions of dollars into their pockets. And it's the same playbook that we see all across America's public lands. These contractors have received $7 billion to build walls, vehicle barriers, and roads across the region. In the park itself, it's a $1.7 billion contract. That is more than half of the entire annual operating budget of the National Park Service. As the former Park Service staff, I cannot fathom, they have lost a quarter of their entire staff. They are facing budget cuts like they have never seen. Trash cans are piling up at national parks. Staff have been fired, and we're losing so much institutional knowledge. And if we just spent a fraction of this $1.7 billion on actually sustaining our national parks, dealing with the maintenance backlog, I mean, it would be life-changing for so many people. But instead, we're using all of this money to build a useless network of roads that cut into the most pristine part of the national park just to enrich a federal contractor.
And talk about why Republicans, leading Republicans, are taking on President Trump on this, from Governor Abbott to the sheriffs.
Yeah,
this is one of the
Big Bend.
This is one of the times broken clock, is right twice, right? Abbott. The other thing that Abbott did was he got rid of red light cameras, which I don't understand why we have so many fucking flock cameras in Texas now, because they got rid of red light cameras years ago. Funny story. I already had 5 fucking tickets pending from red light cameras because they don't follow the fucking law like you're supposed to. Actually. They just ticket you if you're doing anything, if you're moving. But that was one of the reasons they got rid of the red light cameras. No taxation without representation, whatever the fuck they were saying. That was the thing that they were running. But I mean, same thing here. You have a lot of interest from conservatives with parks, and they don't want you to fuck with the parks.
It is symbolic of this idea of freedom. This place, this national park, it changes you once you've been here. And Republicans are not immune to that love for the land. It's been incredible to see them speaking out. I think in a lot of cases, it's too little, too late. But it's nice to have Abbott trying to claim that he's responsible for this. There's also, a ton of wildlife out here. There are game species. The Texas backcountry hunters and anglers have been working with us on this project. So everybody loves this place. Everybody loves the river. And if you look at the facts, there are just no border crossings that happen here. So it is unjustifiable what they are doing to this place. And we do not trust this pause. We are seeking a permanent stop to construction, and we just filed for an emergency injunction with the court on Monday.
And Lakin Jordan, can you talk about the environmental laws that were waived in Big Bend, including the Endangered Species Act, the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, Clean Water Act, and more?
Yeah, with the strike of the pen, the DHS secretary has eviscerated decades of our nation's most important environmental laws. This has never happened in a national park. National parks are supposed to be the public lands with the highest degree of protection. I mean, you can't pick a flower in a national park and take it home. And yet we're seeing this irreversible destruction unfold. And that is only
they're fucking carving fucking pathways, man, waivers. Straight through the fucking environment.
In court, DHS has argued that the Big Bend region is an area of high illegal activity. But the numbers don't add up. The entire sector last month, 517 miles of border here. There were 98 apprehensions across the entire 517-mile sector.
Caterpillar at work again, man.
Why they're pushing forward with this project.
I want to go now to Arizona. Lakin Jordan, I want to thank you very much for being with us. Lakin Jordan, again, National Public Lands Advocate with the Center for Biological Diversity. He used to work at Big Bend National Park on wilderness stewardship issues. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org,
not bad.
where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.
Yeah, that's a story I'll be keeping an eye on. I left this tab open, I guess. All right. What else you got?
Boats are coming through. People aren't reporting that, and that
I'm sorry, what?
Strait is open. A lot of boats are coming through. People aren't reporting that, and that may slow down a little
They aren't reporting it because there's no fucking boats.
bit at some point, but right now a lot of boats are coming through. The naval blockade has been extremely effective. Zero, I mean, literally while it's up, and it's been for quite a while, you know, except for a couple of little pauses where we opened it purposely with a deal. But the deal didn't terminate, you know, the deal didn't turn out to be what they said, you know, when they tell us one thing and they do another. But the blockade has been 100% successful. No boats have gotten into Iran. Strait is open.
The fucking lying is just, I mean, it's completely overpowered, man. Just straight up fucking lying. Totally OP. You can't, there's no better presentation than just straight up fucking lying out of your ass. Let's do it again.
Are you exchanging written letters with?
Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you.
Are you exchanging
Oh yeah, we saw this
letters
earlier.
with Kim Jong-un?
Can't tell you that.
And are you hoping?
But I get along with him. And you know what? The fact that I get along with him, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. He has 57 very powerful nuclear weapons. Should have never allowed it to happen. They should have never allowed it. If I were president, I wouldn't have allowed it. But he's got him. I get along with him very well.
I thought it was odd that he said 57. You know, again, he's blurting it out. Yeah, let's check it on the centrists. The centrist military bros. What are they talking about?
So we've got a new strategy with Iran. No more talks, just wait them out. Iran, meanwhile, is taking a different approach, threatening to go on the offensive if the blockade isn't lifted soon, with one analyst saying, quote, "There's a widespread view in Iran that the main war has not yet begun." Now, this comes alongside new intelligence suggesting that the IRGC used the ceasefire during the Memorandum of Understanding to send weapons and advisors to a number of their proxy groups throughout the region, encouraging them to carry out attacks against the United States and or Israel should the fighting resume. And the key component here is many in the IRGC's senior ranks view the resumption.
Now, that makes sense to me, because when Iran launched two missiles at a ship early yesterday, the UAE triggered their warning signs and all this other stuff, and then they started blaming Yemen. They started blaming the Houthi, Ansar Allah, and that was like the first ones that they were blaming. And it's like, okay, that's very odd. I would find it very odd that Ansar Allah would attack the UAE of all places. Doesn't make sense to me, but it does make sense, you know, when I try to rationalize that, you know, the region's on edge. There's a lot of things going on. They're going to want to blame Iran one way or another. But it didn't make sense to me that they would blame Ansar Allah right away. And so I posted it, but I was like, allegedly.
Of the war, not as a matter of if,
but this
when.
Makes sense.
CNN overnight reported that President Trump told administration envoys to halt their conversations with Iran. Additionally, White House officials have recently communicated to political allies that they are shifting their strategy from hammer Iran ASAP to strangle them over time. Maybe it will work. Blockades can be incredibly damaging to a country, as can economic sanctions. Personally, I'm a little bit skeptical that this is going to be enough to actually accomplish any of our war aims in Iran, which we still seem to be having a bit of a debate about. More on
You like, Iran's choking the United States. All we're doing by doing like a double fucking blockade is choking ourselves even harder.
that here in a second. Vice President and the President, not exactly on the same terms.
Who's going to pass out first?
The sanctions and the blockade can do a lot of damage. They do more damage over time. Will they bring Iran to the negotiating table? Maybe. That appears to be the approach right now. Just sit back and wait. Will they be enough to have Iran voluntarily give up all of their enriched uranium and guarantee that they'll never pursue a nuclear weapon, stop arming proxies and give up their missile program and all of that and more, and not interfere in the Strait of Hormuz? I'm a little bit skeptical. All right. Iran has already been dealing with pretty significant sanctions for a long time. And of course, we have examples around the world where sanctions alone are enough to kind of influence behavior, but not enough for a country to give up what they view as kind of critical for their own survival. And with Iran right now, that is their missile program, their proxies, their nuclear program, and the Strait of Hormuz. Now, alongside this, just waiting to see if Iran will eventually break, we have the challenge that the attacks haven't stopped. In fact, they've picked up here in recent days. The Wall Street Journal reported that the 14th vessel was hit so far in August just last night. That means that's between the Strait of Hormuz and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, so the Iranians and the Houthis firing at ships. We're approaching the number of all of July, so the attacks are increasing by a couple different metrics there. And one of the issues is our regional allies are getting concerned. They like the fact that we're talking about talking and finding some negotiated settlement, but they believe the lack of U.S. response here is actually encouraging Iran to increase their attacks. And that's important. 14 different ships attacked so far in the month of August, 0 U.S. retaliation, which has emboldened Iran to where, at least publicly, they are threatening to go on the offensive.
Yeah,
now,
you notice that we're not really talking about these 14 ships that have been attacked. I see it often on my feed, but then I expect the news in the United States, the media, to pick it up, and they don't. They just ignore it as if nothing is happening. And then Trump goes on the news and says, "Oh, everything's fine. We're actually in the middle of talks. We're talking right now." And then somebody points out that you're actually not talking to anybody. And then he says, "You're a bad person."
At least publicly, they are threatening to go on the offensive. Now, Reuters just reported from an Iranian official saying, quote,
They bombed the Brill the other day. They bombed the base in Iraq the other day. Like, this is like less than a week ago.
Entities must be prepared to escalate tensions in the
We're
Strait
not
of
doing
Hormuz
anything
and the
to
wider
them
region,
anymore.
adding that Tehran would conduct a timely and precise military attack to break the U.S. naval blockade if diplomacy failed. And you have to plan for that, right? If we're thinking that a blockade and the sanctions is going to be enough to break the Iranian regime and get them to surrender, it would be strange to think that they're just going to sit there and take it until they collapse. We've already seen that they have the ability and the no qualms in attacking our allies or U.S. bases in the region. Why on earth would they just sit there and let this blockade play out? Now, can they do something to force the U.S. Navy to withdraw? I guess we'll have to see. But for Iran to say they're going to go on the offensive and try to break that blockade should be expected. Now, I'm going to be straight with you guys, and no pun intended. It's not clear that the U.S. has had a coherent strategy with Iran since the day the war began.
Who's getting blocked? Everybody?
Yes,
Yeah, pretty much everyone's getting blocked, yeah.
Seen a new strategy of
like
stepping back
threads.
And waiting to see what happens, but we've been all over the map from day one. And technically, this is a strategy that just kind of came about yesterday, so we'll see. But I think this is something that I've been kind of early and often in voicing my frustration about, the fact that the messaging here is so bad that it makes you wonder if there's actually a strategy behind it. In the opening days of the conflict, depending on which administration official you talk to, you generally got a different answer on what the objectives or the priorities were. That's insane. Like, you got to button that messaging up. It's got to be clear and coherent.
It's been months, brother.
Everybody is on board with. Again,
it's been months.
The day
the
after
messaging's
it began,
still all over the
pretty wild
place.
to see. It's still happening right now.
Well, 1 second, it's because we need to get revenge for the protesters that have been killed. The next second, it's Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. The next one is we have to eliminate their leaders, but we already eliminated their leaders, so their leaders have no idea what they're doing. So they also don't have a navy. We decimated their navy, and they also don't have any rocket launchers anymore because we destroyed 90% of their rocket launchers. So the war is over. We won already, but somehow the war is not over. They're still launching missiles. And also they have like a massive swarm fleet of small boats that they use in the Strait of Hormuz, and also a massive amount of drones, and also like they have a ton of missiles, and everything's fine. And we're working on a deal, but we're not.
Like this week. with the vice president, with the president, and the lead negotiator to Iran. So just a few days ago, Vice President Vance said the number one priority for the United States right now is opening the Strait of Hormuz. Number two is making sure that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, which feels like we've changed priorities in this conflict. Again, so we are shifting strategies, but I just want to be clear that I'm not entirely confident we have a strategy we've been pursuing from the beginning. To give you an idea of the chaos here, here's Vice President Vance just a few days ago talking about our priorities in this war.
That's goal number one. Keep oil and gas cheap for Americans all over our country. And then obviously goal number two is ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. I feel confident we're accomplishing both of those goals.
Now, President Trump quickly came off the top rope here, saying the number one goal is and always will be that Iran cannot have in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon. But that wasn't the only.
Like, JD, you forgot the script that was handed to us by Israel. JD.
Which is bad enough. But Jared Kushner, kind of the lead negotiator with Iran right now, on Monday told Fox News that the U.S. and Iran continue to have communications, saying that President Trump is waiting to make the right deal when the right deal is ready, but we are having very positive and active conversations.
They're not having any communications.
President Trump then said there are no talks or conversations going on or scheduled with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Again, the messaging here is insane, and it kind of, to me, it's not, the messaging isn't the problem. That shows that the problem is the strategy. To not go too far off track here, when I was in the Army,
I knew this video would make me laugh.
That would go around during field exercises and ask individual soldiers, like privates and specialists, what is the mission? What is the intent of what we're doing out here today? And the whole idea there was they wanted to make sure that everybody in the formation was on the same page. So it was on the leaders to make sure that you briefed everybody. Not just general, vague, we're going over here and we're going to do this, but like actually what is the mission? The idea that the top of our government is still not fully dialed in on a cohesive mission with Iran is not great. All right. Might be why our newest strategy is just kind of sit back and see what happens. Now, in the meantime, Iran appears ready to go on the offensive. And there's a lot of things coming out around this, right? There was talk about Iran going on the literally the ground offensive into Iraq or Kuwait. That's not going to look like what you think. It's not going to be, the Iranian military marching across the border, driving tanks across the border. That is to their disadvantage. They'd be hit pretty early and often. Instead, you might see globalization of some of their proxy networks, and it looks like that's what's in the cards. The Wall Street Journal reported this a few days ago, said instead of putting faith in talks, Iran took the past 2 months to prepare for a bigger fight. Look, Iran doesn't trust us. All right? Bottom line. So they don't view the United States as honest brokers in these negotiations. And
I see no reason to trust us.
But I understand. All right. The last 2 times that we entered into serious negotiations with Iran, we bombed them during those negotiations. So if you're them, why would you look at the United States and say right now, yeah, this is the time? They're definitely on the up and up. And I don't like the IRGC. All right. It's an awful organization, oppressive to the Iranian people. They are not to be trusted either. But from their perspective, we have to understand when looking at all of this, they don't trust a word that our government is saying. In turn, they've been using recent lulls in the fighting to prepare for the next fight. They quoted Mohammed Hassan Sangtaresh, a Tehran-based defense analyst close to the Iranian government. So take this with a grain of salt. Quote, "There's a widespread view in Iran that the main war has not yet begun. What we have seen so far is increasingly interpreted through the lens of salami slicing tactics, limited incremental escalation designed to weaken capabilities before a larger confrontation." Now,
yeah, exactly, Daphne. Iran doesn't want to talk to fucking morons like Kushner and Vance. They don't care to talk to fucking Trump's golf buddies. They see right through the fucking veil, man.
In terms of what Iran has been doing to kind of prepare for the next phase of this war, which, again, we are hearing from Iranian officials is a matter of when, not if. The Wall Street Journal says their efforts include giving the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps more control of the country's regular army, appointing hardened veterans of the war with Iraq and past internal crackdowns to key posts, expanding domestic counterintelligence operations, and ramping up production of missiles and drones. They say the leadership quickly seized the initiative, attacking ships to tighten Iran's grip on Hormuz and expanding the battlefield to the Red Sea, which Saudi Arabia has used to get around Iran's chokehold on the Persian Gulf. At the core here is there's a fair amount of evidence to suggest that the new Iranian regime is more hardliner than the previous one. And the reporting in the Wall Street Journal here appears to back that up. On top of that, a key component of the Iranian defense is their proxy network. So we're talking about Hamas in Gaza, of course, their occupied right now, as is Hezbollah in Lebanon. But we have the Houthis down in Yemen and a variety of, or a wide range of Shiite militias across Iraq and some portions of Syria. It looks like this ceasefire was used to provide weapons and intelligence and coordinate with those organizations.
What do you expect them to
Wall
do?
Street Journal
Sit
said,
around?
quote, the Revolutionary Guard used the calm by the Memorandum of Understanding to lay the groundwork with allied militias around the region to step up attacks if needed, sending advisors to Iraq, Yemen, and Lebanon to discuss the plans. On top of that, they say that there were weapons. Let's see, make sure we get this one right. The Revolutionary Guard supervised deployments of missiles, naval weapons, and drone launchers to positions overlooking the Red Sea, also provided the Yemeni militants, the Houthis, with intelligence, target lists, including Saudi ports, energy facilities, and advice on sheltering from Saudi retaliation. This is a key component of the Iranian defense, the axis of resistance. That's how they operate. So not unexpected at all that when they are facing an existential threat, they do what they can to try to tie that group closer together. That'd be a significant challenge, to be blunt. I mean, it has been a major challenge for the United States. The fact that they still exist today shows how challenging it has been to completely eliminate the control and the threat that these groups face. Amidst that, there's new reporting that the United States may consider almost completely pulling out of the Middle East. And something I want you to keep an eye on here is this is one of the Iranian demands with the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. There's a number in there about
Good job.
lifting all
Good
sanctions,
job,
removing the
everyone.
blockade, but one of them is a full
Massive
withdrawal of US
losses
forces
all
from the Middle
around.
East. Keep that back in mind. The Washington Post just a few days ago reported that the Defense Department is assessing whether to pull back troops from the Persian Gulf, where America's large overseas military bases have been battered by months of Iranian strikes. The damage to these facilities has prompted a once-in-a-generation chance for
It
the
wasn't
Pentagon
even
to reconsider.
years, by the way, that we got to this point. It was in a matter of months. Actually, it was in a matter of weeks, honestly. Day one, we saw Iran just completely unloading on the main naval base in Bahrain. Like, we were like, everybody's like, what the fuck? On top of them
Presence in
bombing
the region.
Israel.
The Defense Department has already signaled that it might not rebuild its bases as they were before the conflict. The discussions have also involved Admiral Bradley Cooper, the head of U.S. Central Command, who supports deliberations about potentially moving U.S. troops west from the Persian Gulf, according to a U.S. official. I saw some reporting in recent days. People were shocked to find out that our base in Bahrain had been hit by Iran. What? We had real-time footage of those drones and at times missiles impacting U.S. bases throughout the region. Of course, they're heavily damaged. We've shown the satellite imagery of what happened to those bases. The idea that people today, 6 months into this conflict, are surprised that U.S. bases were hit is a little bit shocking. But either way, we do have folks inside the administration right now that would like to see a bit of a consolidation of U.S. forces moving back from some of these overseas locations. Now we have bases that are being destroyed. Iran talking about going on the offensive, attacking some of these areas. Should we decide to re-engage with the fight or maybe move troops back into some of these bases? It's pretty dynamic right now. Again, this comes amidst a U.S. change in strategy of just waiting to see if the economic sanctions play out, of which I am a little bit skeptical, to say the least. But that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
Not bad. Thank you for the information. Here's
escalation in the region with Iran until further notice. This follows escalation in the region. The move came after the UAE issued a missile warning to residents and later accused Iran of firing 2 ballistic missiles towards shipping in the Gulf. Tehran has categorically denied the allegation. The UAE has also accused Iran of targeting 2 vessels belonging to state-owned oil company ADNOC in recent weeks. The trade suspension puts an estimated $26 to $28 billion in annual UAE-Iran trade at risk. The UAE has been a critical trading and re-export hub for Iran, accounting for roughly 30% of Iran's goods imports. Dubai has also served as an important financial channel for Iranian businesses, particularly as Tehran faces extensive U.S. sanctions. Now, trade between the two countries had already been disrupted after the war began in February, remember, before partially resuming through Dubai's Jebel Ali port in late June. But the latest move now, it could significantly
good thing this
deepen
stuff doesn't
economic
affect
pressure
us
on
at
Iran
all here in
by
the
cutting
United
off a major
States.
source of imported goods and a key financial route. Analysts have described the UAE action as potentially more significant for Iran even than some U.S. sanctions. Given Dubai's role in Iran's trade and finance network, this is going to be consequential. The key question now is whether other Gulf states follow the UAE's lead or adopt a wait-and-see approach.
Oh, good. I can't pause. I can't pause. Can I pause the video? Jesus Christ. What else did I have? Oh, yeah. More Iran related. Actually, you know what? Yeah, this is about trade. Let's get into, how long is this? Oh, that's too long. All right. Back to Iran. Trump angers Iran with Hormuz map. Then he goes and does some dumb shit like this.
Iran right now is on a mission. It wants to fix Donald Trump's delusion. From exchanging strikes to exchanging warnings, heated attacks and rhetoric, the war of words between Iran and America has now become a war of maps. And it's a war that could be on the brink of expanding. All that it would take is one trigger. Once again, the threat of the Iran war jumping continents and spilling over is back. NATO is all geared up, it says. According to the Financial Times, Iran is considering attacking U.S. military targets in Europe if U.S. President Donald Trump escalates the war in West Asia. In fact, NATO is not taking this lightly. It has taken note. It has reacted, saying that it was prepared to address any threat. Iranian forces reportedly had assessed potential strikes on U.S. military targets in southeastern European countries, reportedly including Bulgaria, Cyprus, where a British air base was hit by a drone in March, remember, also reportedly being considered among the potential targets in the event of a renewed U.S. offensive. But then will that happen is also the big question right now.
The next leg of the World War III opens up.
Remember earlier, Iranian military officials have...
Again, you know, we're not going to call it World War III until like years from now when it's still going on and more countries are involved.
Reportedly warned that any military base used to launch attacks against Iranian territory could be considered a target. So if that is indeed what's been brewing behind the scenes in Iran, what exactly is Trump's game plan? What's brewing there? So far, he has tried a mix of several tactics, approaches, so much so that it's difficult to actually predict what comes next, just like anything in a way related to Donald Trump. But what he is clear about right now, at least, is that the Strait of Hormuz is a part of America. We are not making this up. He's put out a map. Trump and Iran, in fact, have engaged in that tussle over
the new U.S. territory, the Strait of Hormuz. There's a very interesting map here, sir. If you make it a U.S. territory, and anybody born in the Strait of Hormuz would therefore be a U.S. citizen. And by all means, you know, I welcome our, U.S. territory brothers and sisters to the United States as U.S. citizens. May they finally come to their homeland and be a real American.
Over their own versions of maps. While Trump used a series of Truth Social posts to assert U.S. control over the strategic waterway and rule out any immediate talks with Iran. He first shared an image of...
Why didn't CBS News mention this? This is from like earlier today, I think.
Truth Social showing a map of the Strait of Hormuz under the banner New U.S. Territory, appearing to reinforce his recent remarks that he wanted the waterway formally declared U.S. territory. Iran did not mince any words and...
Molly, actually, you know what? We should be doing the opposite here. Molly can be like, why don't you report on the billionaire that died in the helicopter crash? Why is India News not covering that? Huh? That's the real story here. They don't care about our billionaires. That's what it is. They're just heartless. I can't believe how much they don't care about our elite wealthy class.
It hit back. The Iranian deputy foreign minister dismissing Trump's depiction as a quote-unquote delusion, warning that Tehran would either see it corrected.
Can we skip to the part where Israel gets properly blasted? That's coming soon, I'm pretty sure.
Tehran had prevailed both on the battlefield and at the negotiating table, saying America had originally sought Iran's surrender but had failed to achieve that objective. So a lot of rhetoric as well. That's not all. The Iranian consulate in Hyderabad posted a map of the United States with California highlighted under the words
New territory of Islamic Republic of Iran. The United States of America except California.
new territory of Islamic Republic
It's so
of
fucking
Iran.
good, yeah.
Why California, you ask? One possible reason, California is reportedly home to the largest Iranian-American population in the United States. Basically,
really?
the largest population
I thought it was
of
Texas.
Iranian immigrants
As
in
much
the
as
United
people around here
States calls
bitch about it,
California
Jesus
home,
Christ.
reportedly. But whatever happened to Trump's grand statements back then, declaring he did not even need the Strait of Hormuz? From that to now, declaring the strait new U.S. territory, he has come a long way, and that perhaps makes this the latest addition to that growing long list of U-turns taken by the U.S. president. It's hard to even map out his moves and U-turns by now. But the thing is, these maps, this exchange of rhetoric, all of this does not change the things on the ground. What is the ground reality?
I do like that Iran included the other territories of the United States on their map because, you know, there's a lot of places, and if you want to be a lot more specific about it, you could include every fucking military base that the United States has around the world, all 800 of them, because each one of those is treated like a small piece of the United States with like McDonald's and Chipotle's and Subways and all that stuff.
There really. Negotiations over reopening the
Car
Strait of
dealerships.
Hormuz remain stalled. Prospects for renewed talks between Iran and America have dimmed. Trump even said on Tuesday, remember, that there were no talks or conversations going on or scheduled with Tehran. Amid these developments, a fresh threat of escalation came in. In fact, the region witnessed a situation that brought it closer to a Turkey-Israel war, according to Trump's Turkey and Syria envoy. His name is Tom Barrack. Reportedly, according to I-24 News, he reportedly said the Israeli strike on the Abu al-Duhur air base nearly triggered a direct military clash between the two. That's where the base is located. In fact,
they bombed it. They bombed
the
Syria
latest that
yesterday.
About 24 hours ago, and now reportedly, according to him, the Turkish forces did not know that Israeli aircraft were on their way to this specific Syrian base that we are talking about.
And that's exactly what this was. This was Israel's warning to Turkey. Like, this is like, because basically Turkey's running Syria right now, right? Through their proxy HTS. Who has now become, you know, official in government and all this stuff. Former Al-Qaeda guy now as the president, replacing Assad. So they view it. I posted that just like yesterday. I'll show you all the video after this. But they're still calling Syria. Like a jihadi regime.
According to him, nor did they know what their objective was. Therefore, he said they might have decided to scramble their own fighter jets, believing they themselves were under attack. He added yesterday's events were serious and
so we almost had the next leg of World War III triggered, Israel versus Turkey, which is supposed to be coming soon.
Saying we are relieved that no lives were lost.
Is there anybody Israel won't bomb?
And that the situation did not escalate. That's what he reportedly said, according to that report. But But then where do things go from here onwards amid all of these developments between Iran and the United States? From military pressure to wanting to put economic pressure to pausing talks, even disengaging, Trump has so far tried several strategies with the aim to make Iran kneel. But Iran continues to double down. To stay up to speed with the latest news,
Since the day we discover unicorns,
and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And you're right there. Weird how I have to go to like the other side of the fucking planet to get news about what's actually going on in the world. Oh yeah, hold on. I said I would show you guys. I go find my post real quick because it does have some valuable information. Not to toot my own horn, but don't mind if I do. Yeah, it was this one.
Is indeed a flagrant violation to Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity, as many Syrian officials view these attacks by Israel as hindering the state of stability and security that the country has been working on achieving since Assad's fall. As you mentioned, we've seen multiple statements from the Syrian president, Ahmed al-Shara, saying that Syria wants to have some sort of a security deal with Israel. We haven't seen any cooperation or a response from Israeli officials.
Yeah, Syria wants to, because Syria is now, allied with NATO through Turkey and the United States and backed with the United States' occupation, and they're working all together to prevent Hezbollah from getting weapons.
Regarding these statements from the Syrian president, Syria has been working on reattaching and fixing its diplomatic relations with many countries, taking the approach of zero problems with nearby and neighboring countries. However, these continuous attacks from Israel continue to complicate matters even further. We're not only talking about airstrikes against military hardwares inside, we're also talking about multiple violations against civilians, against Syrian citizens in southern Syria. We've been looking at only in the past week multiple arrests against civilians in those areas, which hinders the state of security in that region. First, let me say.
All right. So yeah, that one, and then here's Israeli news.
I would hope for the Syrian people to be prosperous and for them to be able to build an economy and a future for their country. For Syrian refugees who have been in Europe by the millions, for them to be able to go back to their homes.
You remember, he's saying this while Israel currently occupies the fucking like parts of Syria already, and they're occupying more and more territory, calling it a demilitarization zone.
Maybe that'll stabilize Europe a little bit in terms of Islamization and maybe bring back talented people back home to Syria if they want to. From an Israeli perspective, if we land this and on the ground of reality, the regime in power in Syria is still, until proven otherwise, a jihadi regime. That is how Israel, I think, generally looks at it, with lots of caution, lots of vigilance. I think if we'll see very positive developments, statements, and actions on the other side, then maybe that assessment.
You can't work with these guys,
but
man.
October 7, what Israel sees when we look at the other side of the border is a possible future threat that currently is mitigated by forward deployment of Israeli troops inside Syria. I think Israel has extended its hand for security negotiations.
I think that diplomatic outreach has been enough from the Israeli side, or the openness, I should say.
Yeah, I think Israel is still relatively conservative when it comes to any type of deal making with the Al-Jolani or Ahmad al-Shara regime, because of his backgrounds and because of the fact that
he still calls them by his Al-Qaeda name, Jolani.
Haven't yet heard him say that I renounce jihad and my goal isn't to march on Jerusalem and take anything by force. Once that happens, then maybe Israel will shift posture.
Jonathan Henricus, we'll cut you free. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jonathan Kornikov. Yeah, I don't know how much more clear it can be that Israel seeks further conflict with everybody. Back to Iran. Or was I? America's deadly miscalculation in Iran by Search Party.
On July 17th, 2026, an Iranian ballistic missile slammed into a U.S. military base in Jordan, hitting a housing unit and killing 3 soldiers.
That it did.
It was one of the deadliest strikes on U.S. forces since the war began, and raised serious doubts about the air defenses that were supposed to stop it. Over the past 5 months, the U.S. and its allies have destroyed nearly 90% of Iran's missiles and drones with missiles called interceptors.
These videos all the time.
The most commonly used is the U.S.-made Patriot. Patriots have been the most essential defense for the U.S. and nearly all of its allies in the region.
The problem is this war keeps dragging on. Iran keeps firing ballistic missiles, and the U.S. has had to keep firing Patriots. Too many Patriots.
Our stockpile of missile interceptors are so low they cannot stop incoming Iranian ballistic missiles.
We've used a decade's worth of production in the first 4 weeks.
Forcing Washington to look for cheaper alternatives.
So our military is in a bad spot.
The exact numbers are kept secret, but experts calculate the U.S. may have just a third of its Patriot stockpile left, between 700 and 800 missiles. Its allies probably have even fewer. The U.S. is also running low on long-range and ship-launched interceptors.
Now as the war keeps raging on, and Iran keeps firing missiles, the big question is,
are there enough interceptors left to stop them?
This is the most acute shortage, I think, that we've seen in recent military history. I think it's a canary in the coal mine.
So how did the U.S. run low on such an important weapon? And what happens if it runs out?
What does happen if we run out? I think we lose.
Protecting the army against the air threat is the job of the Air Defense Forces, and the star of that branch, the Patriot Air Defense Missile System.
Got his ass.
Patriot stands for Phased Array Tracking Radar to intercept on target, and it's a lot more than just a missile.
The Patriot is a multi-part system, first designed to take down enemy planes. When the Patriot's radar detects one, it sends a signal to a control station that calculates a path to intercept. The control station then instructs a launcher to fire one missile, then a few seconds later, a second as a backup. While in flight, the missiles send information back to the control center,
what if we just sent one missile,
guide them into the path of the enemy plane.
I've solved the problem already.
Can include several launchers, and since everything is mounted on trucks, it can pack up and move relatively quickly.
The U.S. first used Patriots in combat during the 1991 Gulf War against Iraqi planes and Scud missiles, but they didn't do particularly well.
The Patriots radar system lost track of an incoming Scud and never launched due to a software flaw. The Scud killed 28.
In 2003, Patriots did better when the U.S. invaded Iraq, but still made deadly mistakes.
U.S. Patriot missile shot down friendly aircraft,
shooting down the only U.S. Navy pilot lost during the war in Iraq.
Over the following decades, the Patriot's primary manufacturer, Raytheon, improved the radar, and Lockheed Martin made more accurate missiles. By the 2010s, Patriots were doing much better against all kinds of weapons, and was known as the workhorse of the U.S. air defenses. The U.S. deployed its Patriots to bases in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. It also allowed Patriots to be sold to more than a dozen of its allies, and even let Germany and Japan make Patriot missiles. It was a way of showing trust and sharing the burden.
It's been kind of this gold standard, gold-plated interceptor. Everyone wants a piece of it.
Jack Detsch covers the U.S. defense
who? Germany and Japan?
Industry at Politico.
You have in Patriot a system that's combat tested, right? That's gone against ballistic missiles, that's defeated cruise missiles, against drones. This is a capability that a lot of allies feel like is a game changer.
But game changers are expensive. A complete Patriot system cost around $1.1 billion, and the most advanced Patriot missiles cost around $4 million each.
Indeed.
By the mid-2010s, Raytheon had probably sold around 200 Patriot batteries.
Are we the baddies?
Batteries total, while the U.S. bought just a few hundred missiles per year. Many felt that was enough during peacetime, but through the 2010s, some U.S. rivals began building huge stockpiles of ballistic missiles and drones. In 2014, Russia annexed parts of Ukraine and prompted a few more U.S. allies to join the waitlist for Patriots. Demand for interceptors was rising, but supply wasn't.
You've heard world leaders, US leaders, leaders in Europe warning about this, but you haven't seen the shift really happen in budgets and in terms of production, in terms of ramping them up.
And by 2022, it was already too late. Before we go any further, I want to thank the sponsor for enabling us to do the work that we do. So thank you to Out. Thanks again to Outskill for supporting my work. Now I'll take you back to the story. In 2022, Ukraine was invaded by Russia.
Notice how evil China put a country near some of our missiles. Why would they do that? This is just like Iran surrounding themselves like a fucking cheap jacket of U.S. military bases. I'm sorry. They're not all bases, okay? Some of them, or most of them, are camps. U.S. military camp. Doesn't count.
But largely halted the Russians on the ground. Its air defenses were ancient and couldn't stop Russian planes and missiles from battering Ukrainian cities daily. So in early 2023, the US donated one Patriot battery to Ukraine. Germany sent another, and the Netherlands sent launchers and missiles. It wasn't much, but the Patriots made a difference. Ukraine even claimed that one intercepted a Russian hypersonic missile. So the US and allies sent more Patriots and ordered replacements. Raytheon and Lockheed expanded their Patriot factories, but warned that delivery would take more than 2 years. While the US and Europe scrambled to get Patriots to Ukraine, another war broke out in the Middle East.
I'm just noticing the alliances are similar to World War II in a way.
In October 2023, Hamas attacked Israel. Israel then invaded Gaza, Lebanon, and struck the Iranian consulate in Syria.
Yeah, they bombed Syria, yes.
Iran retaliated with more than 300 missiles and drones. It was a massive barrage. And while Israel's interceptors hit most, the US, UK, and Jordan fired some too.
We never left the World War II
6 months
mindset.
later,
Honestly, if you ask me, we went into World War II to take out the competition and replace them.
The US helped intercept another Iranian barrage, and another 8 months after that. While the US and Israel hemorrhaged interceptors, Gulf allies used theirs to fend off attacks from Houthi rebels. By 2025, these multiple conflicts were causing interceptor stockpiles to run low. Reports emerged that the US used 14% of its long-range interceptors, called THAADs, possibly 33% of a type of ship-launched interceptor, and worst of all, it had perhaps just 25% of the Patriots its military required.
I think Patriot is kind of the leading edge because of all these threats that we see multiplying simultaneously, but it's really across the board for air defense.
Isn't it like a cause and effect kind of thing? You have Patriots,
despite
so
the
they have
massive
to develop
shortage,
something
US President Donald Trump
Patriots.
launched an all-out attack on Iran. And Iran retaliated against the US and nearly all of its allies in the region at once. They deflected most of what Iran fired, but then Iran changed strategies. Instead of launching both missiles and drones, it began using mainly drones. Because while a ballistic missile cost $1 million, a drone was just about 20 grand. The US and allies intercepted most drones with cheap interceptors, but they had to use expensive Patriots occasionally. A $4 million interceptor to take down a $20,000 drone is math that works in Iran's favor.
Iran has been able to really put the pressure on the Americans and more so even on allies.
Yeah, they kept trying to use the C-Rams, but the C-Rams the ones that like are like a little turret that shoot like 1,000 fucking bullets a minute, literally. Those aren't that great actually. And also, I don't think you want to live near a stream of bullets coming in your direction.
Make these trade-offs to defend the civilian population, but at such a high cost that it becomes difficult to continue carrying out the war.
Now, after several months of war, the US and its allies are running critically low on interceptors. And with neither conflict ending, they're having to make hard choices. The missile that killed 3 U.S. soldiers was part of a barrage that probably overwhelmed U.S. and Jordanian air defenses. Trump, meanwhile, is blaming Jordan.
They did slip something through in Jordan. When you let other people do your job, sometimes it doesn't work out so well.
But reports say that the U.S. is now letting some Iranian projectiles through its defenses in order to conserve interceptors. U.S. military sources insist
if somebody else was doing the job, then why did an American soldier die? Were they just there supervising? No, they're running the fucking program, man.
Fire on anything that's on track to hit U.S. troops, but
now we are seeing cases where the U.S. is allowing some of them to actually impact on base, in some cases damaging buildings.
Meanwhile, U.S. allies are having to get more creative.
The UAE is using South Korean-made interceptors for the first time. Ukraine is firing just 1 Patriot at Russian missiles instead of 2, and pioneering even cheaper strategies against drones.
But these are just band-aids until the U.S. makes more interceptors.
In January, Trump signed an executive order to pressure weapons makers to boost production, then awarded them billion-dollar contracts for more interceptors. His administration is even considering jointly producing Patriots with Ukraine.
But while Trump throws money at the problem, what he really needs is time.
Experts estimate that even with this boost, U.S. Patriot stockpiles won't reach pre-Iran war levels until at least 2028, and even later for some other interceptors.
That delay means the U.S. probably can't fight Iran forever.
In July, Trump held off an attack after his advisors warned that it could dangerously drain the stockpile of Patriots, but then launched strikes a few days later.
The administration has certainly tried to make the case they don't have a problem, but you just look at the gravity and you look at the production numbers, and they're not rising enough to meet this crippling demand.
But if the U.S. barely has enough interceptors to fight this war, it definitely doesn't have enough to fight an even bigger war. China has one of the most advanced missile arsenals on Earth.
Uh-oh.
It has missiles that can reach U.S. and allied bases in Asia, the Pacific, and even further.
Oh no.
China's also adamant about taking over Taiwan. In an invasion, it would first use these missiles to hit the U.S. and allies to prevent them from intervening.
We ain't fighting China. Hell
the U.S.
no.
has kept interceptors in Asia to deter China, but there may be fewer than before.
What the U.S. would have to do is what we're currently trying to do, is completely take over South America, use South American bodies in a war to fight China. Not going to happen. Not this century. Good luck to whoever's going to fight that war.
The U.S. moved at least some air defenses from South Korea to the Middle East in March. And a recent analysis concludes the U.S. already lacks sufficient air defenses to fight a protracted war against China. China may see the U.S. interceptor shortage as a window of opportunity to attack Taiwan, and the U.S. may be helpless to stop it.
The administration is trying to pressure and lever the defense industry to do more across the board, but we're not even going to begin to be at the beginning of the end of having these negotiations, let alone having the missiles that you would need to fight these types of wars.
For now, the U.S. and its allies are stuck fighting wars without the defenses they need. And praying
because we were never supposed to fight Iran to begin with, you dumbasses. You fucked up. You stepped in the fucking shit, man. We were never supposed to fight Iran directly. We're supposed to go fight China. Idiots.
Isn't around the
like fucking these guys are so bad at their jobs, man.
All right, thanks again for watching Search Party. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's your chance to. If you want to get more involved with my work, I encourage you to head over to newpress.com. That's a platform where I talk to you, ask you questions, you pitch me stories, and help me do my reporting. It's $60 a year for members over at newpress.com. I'm also putting out a pitch to fellow journalists. If you are an investigator or you have a story to pitch that you want to collaborate with me, please email me at sam.ellis@newpress.com. We've got a bunch of stories lined up for the fall. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
2 weeks. All right. Where are we going? All right, that's enough Iran for tonight. Where I go? All right, let's finish this. Joe Biden pissing me off.
For Gaza. Nevertheless, in December 2023, Biden went around Congress to authorize the emergency sale of millions of dollars worth of weapons to Israel. Soon after, he pushed Congress to pass an additional $8.7 billion assistance package, which he signed into law in April 2024. The Biden administration ultimately agreed to sell Israel more than $20 billion worth of weapons during the Gaza campaign, on top of the $3.8 billion in military aid that the U.S. provided annually. Whatever administration officials were saying behind the scenes,
continued. Yeah, we have to finish
commitments
this.
Of military assistance publicly conveyed full-throated support for Israel's vague goal of total
it's not
victory.
just that the Trump administration is just completely fucking everything up and like just wrong move after wrong move after wrong move, and just they just show that it's fucking amateur hour, like move after move. It's so stupid. But they were set up. They were set up for this. Not to make the wrong moves. Full Kirk support for Israel. But, you know, the reshaping, quote unquote, literally quote unquote, reshaping of the Middle East was set in motion by the Biden administration by allowing Israel to go fucking ape shit on everyone.
This is why every suggestion that the Biden administration was sincerely interested in the suffering of civilians being pummeled by American-made weapons.
Because if you remember, it wasn't the United States that was going to go into Iran and bomb them. It was Israel that said they were going to do it with or without the United States' help. And we said, oh man, well, you guys are going to get pummeled again. We can't let that happen. So you guys got a pretty good plan. All right, well, we just kidnapped Maduro from Venezuela, so that worked out really well. So it'll be just like Venezuela, right, guys? Yeah. Yes, it will be. And that was the exchange. So we went into Iran, sold on the idea by, you know, everybody high off of their own farts. Fucking the United States just capturing Maduro, Israel going apeshit for the last fucking umpteenth year, allowed by the Biden administration. Two idiots hand in hand.
No years after the fact expressions of regret will ever suffice. About 70% of
U.S. empire really believes it can't be stopped and still doesn't understand why it's not winning in Iran. It's true. Biden thought he could finish the Cold War and begin the Holy War all in one term. Status quo
weapons,
Joe, man.
Including nearly all its missiles, aircraft, and bombs, came from the U.S. Finding an alternative supply during a war would have been almost unthinkable. In other words, they had all the leverage in the world. In another embarrassing indictment of the Biden White House, as Netanyahu refused to narrow down his Gaza objectives, instead expanding his stated goal to
total victory,
Biden and his advisors all but gave up on pinning him down. Indeed, senior White House officials described themselves to me as almost powerless in the face of Israel's emotional response to October 7th. This, of course, is complete horseshit. You can even threaten to leave Israel all on its own, as even Trump has done, in order to change their behavior.
True.
This was one of the most profoundly infuriating
They are so fucking empowered right now by seeing that they can just bomb whoever the fuck they want at any point in time, and nobody tells them to stop. Like nobody actually does anything for them to stop, that they'll just continue to escalate all the way to the point of bombing Iran.
Kirkpatrick introduces a skeptic from the Biden White House, his deputy national security
and
advisor.
All that tells me is that regardless of if it was Trump or if it was Harris in the White House, they would have bombed Iran regardless. We'd be in a fucking very similar situation to what's going on.
John Feiner. Feiner oversaw a small team of national
if you're not willing to rein in Israel,
who presented
then
various
everything's
ways
fucking
to restrict
everything's
use
up for
of
grabs.
U.S. weapons without undermining its security. These included withholding America's largest bombs. Biden refused, with one exception, as we shall see. Kirkpatrick begins to raise doubts about Biden's no disagreements with Israel policy. The no daylight approach was especially appealing to the White House in the months after October 7th because Netanyahu and Ron Dermer, his longtime advisor and emissary to Washington, kept insisting that they expected the fighting to be over very soon. Just 2 more weeks, they repeatedly promised. As one White House official told me, if it is just a few more weeks, why have a huge fight with Israel? Another official said, we thought that this would, and should be over in December. This has to be the worst excuse for inaction that I've ever come across. What sounds more likely? That Biden officials sincerely waited 2 weeks again and again expecting anything to change?
Again and again.
Or they simply did not want to be forceful with the Israelis? There's a revealing moment in the Channel 13 report where Biden's former ambassador to Israel, Tom Nides, explains how the president grew angry when his, quote, Zionism was questioned. The president's deeply personal attachment to Israel is laid bare.
Have you heard President Biden call Netanyahu an asshole, a fucking bad guy?
Let's just put it this way. President Biden likes to use colorful language, okay? And on occasion, the prime minister was able to extract that colorful language from the president. I'm a Zionist. And then when they start questioning my commitment to Israel, that really pisses you off. And so that becomes more. And so when they start saying, well,
you remember like Biden going on podcasts and the first thing he was like, you know, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. Did you know that? You can be a Christian and be a Zionist. Like this was like well into fucking like Israel bombing the fuck out of Gaza and Lebanon.
You're not, Mr. President, really committed to Israel. That just aggravates Biden in a way that you don't want to be around when that happens.
Returning to the article, after the death toll from Israel,
they knew how to manipulate him. They knew how to pull his strings.
Blinken personally implored Netanyahu, don't do in the South what you did in the North. But on December 1st, 2023, Israel laid siege to Khan Yunis in the middle of the Strip, and by December 20th, the total death toll had hit 20,000.
And then in February, Rafah.
Sullivan then demanded that the Israeli military not move on to Rafah. The Israeli officials insisted, no, we are not going to go after Rafah. Yet by January 2024, Netanyahu had signaled that Israel would indeed take Rafah.
Yep.
By early 2024, Blinken told Dermer, I don't want to hear that phrase 2 more weeks ever again. Dermer responded,
it's already too late, bro.
Okay, I will say fortnight. Blinken told Kirkpatrick, were they being genuine or were they being disingenuous? I think it's a combination. I would take them at their word, certainly into very early 24, less so as time went on, and that was a huge frustration. Blinken is essentially admitting here that he believed the Israelis less and less from as far back as early 2024.
A bunch of fucking idiots, man.
Weeks became a joke. Biden administration officials had no reason to believe the Israelis, and Feiner admits as much. It's obvious now, and was pretty clear then, that they simply did not tell us the truth about their plans and their timelines, and it made no sense to accept those claims at face value. In
it turns out they were lying.
Exasperated when asked whether Biden trusted the Israeli prime minister.
Biden didn't really trust Netanyahu.
Because it's Netanyahu. I mean, come on, everybody. He's a survivor, a manipulator, a magician.
He can't lie. It's illegal, man.
Biden saw all of that.
In public, Biden had occasional, mildly critical words for Netanyahu.
There are a lot of innocent people who are starving, a lot of innocent people who are in trouble and dying, and it's got to stop.
In March, he was asked
in an MSNBC
interview about an invasion of Rafah.
Did it stop?
Do you have a red line? For instance, would invasion of Rafah, which you have urged him not to do, would that be a red line?
It is a red line, but I'm never going to leave Israel. The defense of Israel is still critical. So there's no red line. I'm going to cut off all weapons so they don't have the Iron Dome to protect them.
You fucking moron! He went on fucking TV and said this shit, and then Israel immediately was like, "Oh, okay, well, start bombing everybody. Fuck it, just drop all the bombs. Who gives a fuck?" Equivalent of a strongly worded letter. Like that's the best you can do for Democrats at this at this point. Is just like you expect a strongly worded letter that does absolutely nothing. All it does is like show their constituency that like they're like, look guys, we're fighting the good fight over here. Like, no, you're not doing shit, man. You're not doing anything at all.
But there's red lines that if he crosses, he cannot have 30,000 more Palestinians dead.
It's worth remembering that Biden only called Rafah a red line in passing and immediately...
Yeah, I can't believe people with no conscience don't react to strongly worded letters. Like, yeah, they don't care. They're like, oh, the only thing that's stopping me from getting absolutely what I want is somebody saying that's a no-no? Fuck that.
He walked it exactly back the thinking. And promised never to cut off military aid to Israel. It's not even a question for him, clearly. In keeping with Biden's new policy of reviewing weapon sales for evidence of war crimes, his State Department made clear that there were concerns. Kirkpatrick writes that in April, at least 8 State Department bureaus, agencies, or missions sent in assessments that Blinken had requested for his required review of Israel's conduct. At least 5 argued that Israel had likely used U.S. weapons in violations of the laws of war and had impeded the delivery of U.S. humanitarian aid. Another Channel 13 interviewee named Stacey Gilbert, a former State Department official, claimed several meetings
I just thought of something, right? This is why we see, like, all these old-ass elected officials in power for so long. It's not that they need to be in power or they're the only people available. It's that they'll never be held responsible for the war crimes that they have committed because they'll be fucking dead before they can be put on trial from the ICC or whoever ends up prosecuting these people. They'll be fucking dead. If we had younger people that were doing these things, and in a few years or decades, they were actually put on trial for the war crimes that they've committed, then that would be a bad look for the United States. Everything would go sideways. People would question, what are we doing all this stuff for? It would be very much the disillusionment of the propaganda that has been built up over the years, over the decades, over the century. Pete is still young. Yeah, I guess they can't all be old guys, huh? But I mean, for this, you pin it on Netanyahu. It's already been done. Pin it on Biden. Trump, Lindsey Graham, fucking Mitch McConnell, all these pro-war war hawks that have been around forever. I mean, even their cabinet guys are all old too. I don't know. That's just, maybe I'm just looking at it from face value.
Held with Tony Blinken, where such concerns were aired. She resigned in protest over the Biden administration's claims that Israel was not cutting off aid to Gaza.
There were several meetings with State Department leadership, including with Antony Blinken, with people who were...
I mean, Pete is still young, so hey, maybe he'll be put on trial.
Especially upset with how
maybe
this was
I'll see it happen.
In May, Israeli officials leaked to the press that Biden would pause a single shipment of bombs to Israel. The withheld ammunition turned out to be thousands of enormous bombs. About half weighed 2,000 pounds, the others 500 pounds.
Half were 2,000-pound bombs?
Anyone within a radius of 1,200 feet. Biden complained
4 fucking NFL football fields, man. Kills anyone within a radius of 4 fucking NFL football fields when they drop that bomb. Of course, that's if like there's nothing blocking the shrapnel and the shockwave, right? These are the types of bombs that have known to decapitate babies just from the impact. The concussive force will fucking separate your body.
And
civilians have been killed in Gaza as a consequence of those bombs and other ways in which they go after population centers.
But as Kirkpatrick reveals, Biden's bluster toward Israel was less fierce than it seemed. The bomb shipment contained not only 2,000-pound bombs, but also 500-pound bombs. The Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner proposed that the 500-pound bombs be withheld as well. The president refused and ordered that the smaller bombs be shipped separately. The 500-pound munitions, the largest that the U.S. dropped on Mosul during the fight against ISIS, will kill anyone within a radius of 65 feet and injure anyone within 150. What Kirkpatrick does not say, however, is that Biden was actually set to reverse this pause. The Channel 13 report confirms as much from multiple interviews. Biden's Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East, Dan Shapiro, explains that after the Israeli defense minister met with his counterpart in Washington, Biden was going to allow the bombs to be shipped.
The agreement we were prepared to work out with Minister Gallant would have allowed the release of the shipment.
Then Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Michael Herzog corroborates this account. According to him, Netanyahu blew it when he released a video chastising Biden for the delay.
אני מאמין שהם כבר היו בדרך לשחרר את המשלוח הזה, אבל אז ראש הממשלה יצא עם אותו שידור וידאו והכל נעצר.
That in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies.
Indeed, Goldberg relays some of the frustrations felt by the Biden administration over criticism of his bomb shipment pause. They had helped Israel enormously.
It's like, what is he talking about? We backed the supplemental for $17 billion worth of weapons. We've given Israel everything it needs. And yes, we have a disagreement.
It's not enough.
One shipment of 2,000
It's not enough. They want your
to go out and
unwavering dedication.
I think that was particularly infuriating.
Biden's symbolic
that was them
pause
strong-arming the fucking United
bombs
States
was his most talked about moment of public pressure against Netanyahu. But even this was a cruel farce and downplays the extent to which Biden allowed thousands of similar bombs to destroy Gaza. Several U.S. officials told Kirkpatrick that virtually everyone involved in Gaza policy, including Secretary Austin, thought that Israel was killing more Palestinians than was necessary to achieve any legitimate objective. Nevertheless, the administration gradually came to believe that it could not persuade Israel to alter its...
It's almost as if colonization, a symptom of capitalism, is fueled by never-ending greed, yeah. And the need of dead bodies. You will know capitalism by the trail of dead bodies. Israel was killing more Palestinians than was necessary. What the fuck? This sentence right here is completely fucked up. This is the centrist argument, right? Israel wants to kill all of the Palestinians. Palestinians want to live. Centrist. What if we let Israel kill some of the Palestinians, but let the majority of them live? Everybody wins. It's fucking insane.
Any legitimate objective. Nevertheless, the administration gradually came to believe that it could not persuade Israel to alter its approach in Gaza. This was one of those
Complete utter
baffling
ghouls,
sentences in the article that, far from
purposefully
explaining Biden's
evil,
inaction,
man,
showed how ineffectual and cowardly at best or evil at worst he was. Tom Nides, Biden's former ambassador to Israel, said Biden came under enormous pressure inside the White House to change his position and refused to do so even when it was politically expedient for his re-election campaign.
At the most significant political peril,
he was never it did not fuck. This is a stupid argument, right? Because Biden held off on arming Israel with everything they wanted, they went to the Republicans. No. They were going to go to the Republicans anyway. They had already had meetings with the fucking House and Congress and senators. Like they had already had fucking like full on meetings with all of the Republican Congress. And they excluded Biden from that. Like they purposefully excluded Biden. They excluded like the upper like tier people. Because that's the way Israel works. Like that's the way Israel works in the United States. Politics. They organize behind your back, and no matter how dedicated Biden would have been, Biden could have given them the fucking world. He could have given them every single thing that they wanted. They still would have aligned with Trump. Didn't matter.
Political career. The easiest thing for Joe Biden would have been to do, if he was worried about the votes in Michigan, is to basically, get a little soft. He refused to do it. And by the way, there was an enormous pressure on him inside the White House to change his position. So when I hear comments about he wasn't good enough or he didn't have Israel's back, am I disgusted by it? 100%. Is it true? 100% no.
אני חושב שחסד עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא במדינת ישראל שביידן היה הנשיא בתקופה הזאת, כי זה היה יכול להיות הרבה יותר גרוע.
Could have been much worse.
אנחנו נלחמנו למעלה משנה, ומעולם הממשל לא בא ואמר הפסקת אש עכשיו, מעולם לא. וזה לא דבר מובן מאליו.
Insane.
In July 2024, according to the timeline presented by Channel 13, Hamas makes a major concession in the ceasefire talks. Dan Shapiro says they were, in his accounting, 95 to 98% of the way to a deal.
We were at the 95 or 98% point of finishing those agreements, and we knew we could finish them.
John Kirby, Biden's National Security Council spokesman, agreed.
We felt like it was safe to say that we were, as close as we'd ever been.
Amos Hochstein, one of Biden's most important advisors, slammed the Israeli intransigence.
I don't understand the decision not to grab that opportunity as the most important strategic move Israel can make.
Dan Shapiro was less naive and attributed this inaction to Israel's far-right government.
Now, we always understood, of course, that the Israeli government depended on far-right ministers would try to block that commitment.
The Channel 13 report recalls how, after a deal was so close to being reached, Netanyahu bluntly demanded at a press conference that the IDF would remain at the border with Egypt, which torpedoed the ongoing talks. The report revisits the outrage in Israel when, following Netanyahu's new demand, 6 hostages were killed in Gaza. In another indictment of the prime minister, the report submits that, shortly before Trump is sworn in as president, Netanyahu rescinds most of his demands and swiftly signs a deal which, they say, was identical to the one from July 2024. Kirkpatrick lists other important ways in which Netanyahu sabotaged the progress in negotiations. In his words, Israel blew up the ongoing talks by assassinating both Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas representative leading peace talks in Qatar, and Mohammed al-Daif, a top decision-maker inside Gaza. Bibi was playing games, a former White House official said. Nevertheless, You may get the impression from reading Kirkpatrick's article and taking Biden administration officials at their word that they have a lot to be proud of. Their pressure, they argue, prevented a famine from occurring sooner than it did. In one especially grotesque metric of success, Biden officials took credit for the fact that it took a whole year for the death toll to double in Gaza. Tens of thousands of deaths, but not as bad if it's over a year, apparently. A senior Biden official also claimed that, owing to their pressure, the destruction of Rafah was less horrific for civilians than it might have been, even if Israel nonetheless flattened it. No less than jaw-dropping and completely detached from reality. Another revelation from the article is that Jake Sullivan has had many sleepless nights over Gaza. Perhaps in an attempt to soothe his guilty conscience, he wondered aloud how risky it was to pressure Israel. What about the hostages? What about Israel under attack from all sides? Sticking with the deeply flawed no daylight logic. It is ironic that the Israeli Prime Minister was unmoved by the threat of an attack from all sides when he persuaded Trump to launch a war with Iran 2 times. The Israelis don't have much to fear as the U.S. has depleted their stockpiles of interceptor missiles to protect Israel while they maintained their own supplies. Once again, to quote Lloyd Austin, they're playing with house money. The Biden administration...
Yeah, boohoo, sleepless nights while Palestinians are enduring some of the worst shit ever experienced. Like, I don't, like, it just fucking, like, there's no words for what people in Gaza, what people in Palestine are going through right now. It's unfathomable. Like, you just, it's been so long.
Administration's
And this motherfucker's like, oh, I can't sleep. Oh, I'm so upset. We could have done so much better.
For their complicity in Israel's genocide in Gaza, namely the fear of an attack from Iran, belies the fact that it was Israel who repeatedly attacked Iran, prompting their first direct attack on Israel. Their other justification, that it would negatively impact ceasefire negotiations, is belied by Netanyahu's repeated sabotaging of the talks when Hamas was serious.
I'm in a WhatsApp chat with some Palestinians I've seen and heard firsthand. So unbelievably horrifying. Yeah.
And close to agreeing to a deal. Direct attack on Israel. Their other justification, that it would negatively impact ceasefire negotiations, is belied by Netanyahu's repeated sabotaging of the talks when Hamas was serious and close to agreeing to a deal.
I mean, all this taught, the only thing that this taught us and just the world, everybody that viewed this, everybody that had eyes on this, is that negotiations with the United States, negotiations with Israel, don't fucking matter. Because the United States and Israel is just going to do whatever the fuck they want, regardless of whatever terms, whatever agreements you come to. Like, they're just the imperialist powers. The West is going to do whatever the fuck they want, like at whatever point in time. So you can have something written on paper, you can have something almost coming to terms, and it won't matter. It's just going to be completely irrelevant. Once they deem that you are a bigger threat than they initially thought, they'll just say, oh, well, turns out we disagree with what we agreed to. This shit sucks, dude. All right. Somebody make me happy. Can I get some?
Me? Meet my cameras. They're doing that with my they're not supposed to do that. I told them not to do that. What the fuck?
Flock CEO would being told that cops are stalking their exes with his cameras.
21 cars? What? They're not. That's not what the cameras are for. What the fuck? I made them super promise not to do that. Meet my cameras.
I made them super promise not to do that. Well, they're doing it. What if we had mobile cameras that drive around everywhere?
Sound like if people replaced cars. That's what it would sound like if people replaced cars. But what if cars replaced people? That's exactly what autonomous vehicle companies like Waymo are trying to discover. Thanks to the miracles of science, engineering, and venture capital, over the last few decades, autonomous vehicles have evolved from fringe experiments to a technology capable of dominating our roads. But should we accept these contraptions as the future of transportation, as many suggest? Let's pop the hood on this thing. To tell the story of driverless cars, one must travel back to the beginning of time. 17 years ago at the University of Washington. It was here on this crunchy-ass campus in the spring of 2009 when STEM nerds were smoking weed out of apple bongs and losing their virginities to MGMT. It was also when AI and robotics engineer Sebastian Thrun gave a lecture on creating a safer, more efficient system of transportation in which smart cars could communicate with each other and even drive themselves with AI.
If you look at today's transportation sector in the United States, it is, in my opinion, irresponsibly uneconomical and dangerous. We lose 42,000 people every year in traffic accidents. I think we are ready for a revolution in the area of transportation.
What if the cars just automatically crashed into themselves? Wouldn't that be cool?
Brought about.
Now, Thrun wasn't just spreckensing out of his Deutsch here. 4 years earlier, he had helmed a team of Stanford engineers who developed a robot car named Stanley that won the 2005 DARPA Grand Challenge, a competition created by the Defense Department to spur innovation.
Oh wait, you know what? I'm gonna call it here, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna call it here. I'm gonna go play games. All right, everybody have a good night. I will see you possibly Friday. Unless you want to watch me play games, I could stream games.
Johnny's in America, Texas at the wheel. Nobody needs anyone, don't even just pretend. Johnny's in America. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it.
All right, I'm gonna cut the stream.